We continue now at the top of Daf Yud Aleph, Amud Aleph, Masechah Sukkah. This is Sukkah Daf 11a. The Gemara says, "Ubayis nami," when it comes to a house as well, afal pisha in gavoa asar, even if it's not 10 tvachim high, kevun dekvia, since it is a permanent structure, oalahu, it's considered to be an ohel, a tent. Delo gara mikinofos, it's not any worse than kinofos, which again is the 4-post bed. Rashi over here says, "V'hach milsa shmaita ba'pei nafshu." This is its own statement. Delo tema bayis kekila dilo gavoa lishtri lahotzi rosho chutz lachalon. The Rashi over here says, don't think that a bias is just like a kila, which is a bed with a canopy, where the halach is if it's not 10 high, so then you're actually allowed to stick your head out. Let's say the person's not wearing any clothing, he can actually stick his head out, and the canopy itself is considered to be clothing, and it's considered like he's clothed, and he could say Kriya Shema. We don't say that. When it comes to a bias, again, it's considered like an ohel, and therefore your head automatically follows the rest of your body as if it's in the house. You can't just stick your head out the window in that situation, and you wouldn't be able to say Kriya Shema without clothes on in that case. And the Gemara continues, Lishna Achrina Amrila. There's another version of the discussion we had before. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Mutter Lishon Bekilas Chasanim Besukkah. A person is allowed to sleep inside a Kilas Chasanim in the sukkah. Again, that's a bed with a canopy. Rashi over here says, Kilas Chasanim Eino Keshar Kila Ve'ein Osin Logag. It's not like other kinds of beds with canopies. You don't make for it a proper roof. Rather, you surround it; just simply surrounds the bed, and it's just like a 2-post bed. The roof itself is just going to be slanted. So the halacha is, again, you're allowed to sleep in this in the sukkah lefisha ein lagag, because again, there's no roof that's really on top of you. It's all slanted. Afal pi shegavo asara, and here it says even though it's 10 tvachim high, still it's going to be okay. So the Gemara says, Meisvei, we have a question. Hayashin bekila besukkah lo yotze yedei chovaso. It says if you sleep in the kila, you're not yotze. We just said before it's mutter to sleep in the kilas chasanim. And the Gemara says, Hachamay askinan b'shiyesh lagag. Over here, when it says you're not yotze, that's in a situation where it does not have a roof. And so again, if it's not completely slanted, then it is going to be a problem to sleep in this kila in the sukkah. And the Gemara continues, Tashma, come in here, another proof, Naklitin Shnayim v'kinofos arba. A Naklitin is a 2-post bed, a kinofos is a 4-post bed. Piras agabi kinofos psul, if you spread the canopy on the kinofos inside the sukkah, it's going to be puzzle. Agabi Naklitin kasher, if it's Naklitin, it's not a problem again because it's slanted. Uvilvad shelo yu Naklitin gavo and minamita asar tvachim, as long as the Naklitin are not 10 tvachim high from the bed. And so the Gemara makes the following diuk: Hagavoin minamito asara psula, afal pisha ein lagag. Apparently, if it's 10 tvachim high, it's a problem, even though there is no roof, even though it's completely slanted. And so the Gemara answers, Shani naklitin dekvi. By naklitin, it's actually different. That's actually worse than a kila, because naklitin is something that's more permanent. So the Gemara says, Ikvi lahavik kinofos. If it's actually permanent, so it should be like kinofos. It should be a problem even if it's less than 10 tvachim. So the Gemara answers, Lagabe kinofos lo kvi. If you're comparing it to the kinofos, there already it's not considered permanent when compared to that kind of a situation. As Rashi over here says, Lagabe kinofos lo kvi lachshov kemosa lifsal afapachas miyud. It's not going to be possible in less than 10 tvachim. By the case of naklitin, it's not considered permanent when you're looking at it relative to the kinofos. Lagabe kila, but if you're comparing it to the kila kvi, then it is considered to be like a permanent structure. Rashi says, Lagabe kila kvi hilkach inhu pasli biyud afilu les lugag. When it comes to naklitin, if it's 10 tvachim high, it's going to be a problem, even if it has no roof. V'kila lo pasla afilu biyud kilas lugag. But when it comes to a kila, if there is no roof, it's not going to be possible, even if it's 10 tvachim high. And the Gemara continues, Dorish Rabba bar Rav Huna mutter lishon bekila. Rabba bar Rav Huna darshans it is mutter to sleep in a kila in a sukkah. Afal pisha yesh lugag, even though it has a roof, even though it's not completely slanted. Afal pisha gavoa asar, even though it's 10 tvachim high. So the Gemara says, come on, who does this follow? Rabbi Yehuda, this follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. D'Yamar, because Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo osi oel arai mevatel oel keva. Rabbi Yehuda has a shita that an oel arai, a temporary oel, can't be mevatel an oel keva. So in this case over here also, just because you're sleeping in this ohel arai, this canopy bed, it's not going to mess up your ohel keva of the sukkah. You're still yotze the mitzvah of sukkah. The Tanan, and the Gemara says, as we learned in the Mishnah, Amar Rabbi Yehuda says, Noagin hayinu lishon tachas hamita b'fnei hazakenim. We had a custom, we slept even under the bed in the sukkah, in front of the elders. It wasn't a problem. In other words, just like under the bed is not a problem, the oel arai is not mevatel the oel keva, so too it's not going to be a problem if you're sleeping in a kila, even though it has a roof, even though it's 10 tvachim high. So the Gemara says, "V'leim halacha Rabbi Yehuda." Well, why doesn't he just say then that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda? What is Rav Bar Rav Huna saying anything different than Rabbi Yehuda over here? So the Gemara says, "Yamar halacha Rabbi Yehuda havamina hanimili mito de legabo asuya." If he only said the halacha was like Rabbi Yehuda, I would think that when it comes to a bed, that's okay because it's made really to sleep on top of it. Aval kila de latocha asuya, but the kila where really you're supposed to sleep within it in that normal fashion. Aimalo, I would actually say no, maybe that's a problem. Kamash malon. So that's why he's coming to teach you time with the Rabbi Yehuda that the reason of Rabbi Yehuda actually is to loasi oal arai mevatel oal keva, that an oal arai does not come along. It's not mevatel and oal keva. Loshna mita veloshna kila. Doesn't matter if it's a bed. Doesn't matter if it is a kila. And Rashi over here says, Noagim hayinu yishenim tachas hamita demita legabe sukkah oal arai, because again, a bed, when relative to the sukkah, compared to the sukkah, is considered oal arai. Shemisalkan osam mimakom lamakom. It's something you move around from place to place. The bed is not made in order to go under the bed, it's made to go on top of the bed. It's not made to be an oel. Therefore, you might say it's not even called an oel. You could potentially have said that the reason for Rabbi Yehuda was nothing to do with the fact that it's an oel harai. Maybe it's not an oel at all. It's made for an oel. The whole point of this bed with the canopy is to be an oel. You might think, of course, it's called an oel. Even though it's just temporary, maybe you would think it's a problem. Kamash malon Rab at the time of Rabbi Yehuda Hasan v'chulu. So it comes to teach us. Rab is teaching us the real reason of Rabbi Yehuda is not because it's not an oel. It's because an oel arai cannot be mevatel an oel keva. So it doesn't matter if it's under a bed. Doesn't matter if it's under a canopy. It's going to be okay according to Rabbi Yehuda. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah. Hidlo les agafen v'esadalas v'esakisus. Let's say a person, we quoted this earlier. Let's say a person takes vines or he takes gourd or he takes ivy and he puts that as the roof of his sukkah, but it's still attached to the ground. V'sikech al gabo, and then he puts schach on top of that. Psula, it's going to be puzzle. But if you have more kosher schach, it outnumbers the amount of vines you have there. Osha ketzatzon, or if he cuts them, let's say, so they're no longer attached to the ground, kesheira, then in such a situation it's going to be kosher, because again, the schach has to be detached from the ground. Zehaklal, the Mishnah says this is the rule, kol shu mekabel tumah vein gidulam in aretz ein mesachin bo, anything that's mekabel tumah, and it does not grow from the ground, you can't use it as schach. V'chol davar she'eino mekabel tumah, but if it's something that's not mekabel tumah, v'gidulam in aretz, and it grows from the ground, mesachin bo, that is kosher for schach. And the Gemara says, Yosef, Rav Yosef, Kame de Rav Huna. Rav Yosef sat in front of Rav Huna. The Yosef, and he sat and he said as follows: Osha ketzasan kasher. If it's cut, then it's going to be kosher. V'yomar Rav, and Rav says tzarach lenaneya, that you have to actually shake the schach. It's not enough just to cut it. You also have to shake it. You have to move it around. Rashi over here says, V'yosef, Rav Yosef, v'kamar hachi haditnano sheketzasan kasher. Rav Yosef said as follows: that which it says in the Mishnah, that when you cut the vines or the ivy, that it's kosher. Amar Rav alon nihida ein tzarach lachzor l'sosra kula. Rav said on that, this is Rav Yosef quoting Rav. Rav said on that, you don't need to go, granted that you don't need to go destroy the whole thing and build it over. But those things that you just cut, so now they're detached from the ground, you have to move them around a little bit. That way it's like you're building the sukkah out of them. Because if you don't do that, if you just cut it, psula, it's going to be pasul. Misham tase v'lo min ha'asi. That's learned out from the pasuk. The pasuk says tase, you have to make the sukkah. It can't be made by itself. If you're just going to cut it and now all of a sudden it's kosher schach, it's basically being made on its own, so to speak, memela, that's a problem. Dahachi mashma sukkos tase kashata osa osate ru'uya l'sukkah v'lo min ha'asi bepasul she'eno roy l'sukkah v'yatam esakno b'tikun mut. You have to make it using things that are kosher for schach. It's not that you can put it up there and then just do a little bit of a tikkun, and suddenly it's going to be kosher. Like over here, where all you're doing it is cutting it. You don't have to actually, Rashi says, you don't have to actually destroy it. Shaking it around a little is close enough to destroying it. You just pick up each piece of schach, put it back down. You pick up each piece of schach, you put it back down again. That's good enough. And so the Gemara continues. Amar le Rav Huna. So Rav Huna said to Rav Yosef, that which you just said in the name of Rav, that was actually said by Shmuel. So Hadrinu Rav Yosef liape. Rav Yosef turned his face around. Rashi says bekas. Rav Yosef got angry. V'yamar lein, he said to him, Atu miko amina loach de lo amra Shmuel. Did I say to you that Shmuel didn't say it? Amra Rav, Amra Shmuel. Rav made the statement and Shmuel also made the statement. So what are you telling me that Shmuel said it as if I'm wrong? They both said it. Shmuel said it and Rav said it. So Amar le Rav Huna. So Rav Huna said back to Rav Yosef, here's what I'm actually saying to you. The Shmuel Amra v'lo Rav. What I'm trying to tell you is that Shmuel made this statement and Rav did not. Rav would disagree. The Rav achshure machshe, the Rav would actually say cutting it alone is enough and it would be kosher. You don't need to shake it around. Ki hod Rav Amram Chasida, it follows the story of Rav Amram Chasida, Ramat Chelta lefarzuma din shebeise. He put techeles, this tzitzis, into the garments of the people of his household. To lawn velo pasak roshe chudin shalahen. He hung the threads, but he didn't cut it. Asa lekami de Rav Chia Barashi. So they came before Rav Chia Barashi. Amar le said to him, Hachi Amar Rav. So says Rav, mefaskon vehein kasher. And all you need to do is cut it, and it's going to be kosher. Alma, what do you see from Rav? Sikasan zuhi asyasan. Just cutting it, that's like making the tzitzis. Hachanami, so too over here when it comes to sukkah, ketzitzasan zuhi asyasan. Just simply cutting the schach is enough. That's considered nasiya. And Rashi over here explains, Achshure machshir. Rav would actually say, kosher beloni nua. You don't even need to shake it around. The kasavar ketzitzasan zuhi gemara siyasa. He holds that cutting it, that's considered the gemara siya. Vehechi dami tasa v'lo min asi. Now Rashi explains, according to this position, Rav still agrees with the concept of tasa v'lo min asi, but it applies in more limited cases. What would be a case of tasa v'lo min asi? Kagon hachotet begodish lasos lo sukkah. Let's say you have like a pile of hay or something, and you carve out into it in order to create a sukkah. So you're carving out so you can make a hollow area on the inside, and the sukkah is standing me'elav on its own. Sha'asika choya me'elav. In that case, the schach is there me'elav on its own. Ve'ena nogeya bo lasos shomaisi. You didn't even touch it. You did nothing to create the schach. You just took out one of the walls and you just went into there. The sukkah was basically made by itself. The walls and the schach. The point is over here where you're actually cutting the vines or the ivy, so you're doing something, you're cutting something. That's already called tasa. That's called an asiyah. But if you're just going to carve out something that's already standing there and the schach is nasis me'elav, that's where Rav would say it's tasa v'lo min ha'asui. Rama techelta hitel tzitzis, again he put in tzitzis, lefarzuma din shebeise. He put it in for the people of his household. Rashi says latalis ishto. It was actually the talis of his wife. The kasavar laila zman tzitzisu, because according to this shita, he held that you wear tzitzis at night as well. Ureisam oso pralich so suma, and the pasuk which says you have to see it is not to exclude the nighttime; it's to exclude a blind person. According to his position, meaning to Rav Amram's position, the chiyuv of tzitzis is not only during the day; it's during the night as well. So according to Rav Amram, tzitzis was a mitzvah aseh that's not dependent on time; it is all the time. V'nashim chayava, so he held women are chayiv, and so that's what was really going on over here. He was making tzitzis for his wife. So to lon letzitzios bekanfos hatalas chodechod kafel dalid v'tochva bechnafo denu chodechod. It was all what he was doing was as follows. He took one very long string and he put it into the corner and he was just folding it over. Chodechod koflo varein shmona kfalim. He folded it over till it was already like 8, but it's really all one string just folded. Uposek roshin shalahen v'nasin shmona chutin. And then what he did was he cut the ends, so you suddenly had 8 strings. For Rav Amram shachach v'lo paskan at she'asa kol hagdilim v'kishreim. Now what happened was Rav Amram forgot and he didn't cut it until he had made everything, but it was really only one thread. So it came out that he really made these tzitzis in a puzzle fashion because it was all one thread, and just at the very end he's cutting it. So he wasn't sure if that would be good. He came before Rav Chia Barashi, and Rav Chia Barashi said to him, in the name of Rav, that's fine. Psikas and zuhi asiyasan, and so the same thing should apply when it comes to the schach. So the Gemara now continues, V'savar Shmuel lo amrinim psikasan zui asiyasan. But do you mean to tell me that Shmuel holds we don't say when it comes to tzitzis that the cutting is considered nasiya? V'atani Shmuel mishum Rabbi Chia. But Shmuel taught in the name of Rabbi Chia. Hita l'shnei karnos b'vas achas. Let's say he takes the tzitzis, he puts them in 2 corners at once. V'yachar kach pasak roshei chutin shalen, and then he cuts the top of the threads. Kesherin, it is kosher. And so the Gemara says, my lav, is it not shakosher v'yachar kach posik? He's tying it all together, and then at the end he's cutting it. And therefore you see the cutting it is considered nasiya. The Gemara says, no, that's not what he was talking about. Lo shaposik v'yachar kach kosher. In the case of Shmuel over here, he actually cut it first, and then he tied the tzitzis. So of course, that's an nasiya. So the Gemara says, posik v'yachar kach kosher, my lamemra. If he tied it afterwards, that's not even a chiddush. What do we even need to say that for? So the Gemara says, Mahu the Tema, what might you have said? We'll take a look at Rashi over here. Hita lebeis kronos b'vas achas. He put it in 2 corners at once. She'asa arba kfalim. He made 4 folds. Aruchin long. Kashir shtei tzitzios. It was long enough to be two two tzitzios. In other words, it was long enough for two corners. He put one end of the string of the thread in one corner, one in the other corner. He bent the two together until it went in by the middle of the length of these threads, and then again he cut it so that you ended up with threads on both corners. So my love kosher also hagadil bazu vazu ve'achach pasach emtza. Didn't he first tie everything together, then he cut it in the middle? V'nasu shtayim, so suddenly he had tzitzis on both corners after cutting. V'afav b'shanasu b'psul dekula kodem shenifsaka chod echadu. Even though it was made b'psul because it was all one thread at the beginning, he's only cutting it at the end. You see that Shmuel holds that cutting it is considered nasiya, and the Gemara says no. Again, he cut it first and then he tied the tzitzis. And as we'll see in the next video, question is, what is the chiddush of Shmuel's statement in this case? We'll continue with the next video on Daf Yud Aleph Amud Beis.